Call the meeting back to order. Roll call, please.
Kolpak.
Here.
Pepcorn.
Here.
Strand.
Here.
Turnberg.
Here.
Mahoney.
Here. I invite you to join us with the Pledge of Allegiance. I invite you to join us. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. You have a motion from the executive session.
Mr. Chair, I make the motion. I move to direct the city attorney to work with the city auditor to present an ordinance with specific terms and conditions to add a license class for liquor licenses for property in the extraterritorial jurisdiction of the city of Fargo upon annexation of the property.
Is there a second?
So moved.
Any discussion? Roll call vote, please.
Pepcorn.
Aye.
Kolpak.
Aye.
Strand.
No.
Turnberg.
Aye.
Mahoney.
Aye. Tonight, we're highlighting the work of the Fargo City Auditor's Office. As many of you know, the Auditor's Office is the first floor of City Hall, right next to the main entrance. I think their office is the face of City Hall because they help so many residents who come in to pay their utility bills. The staff at the Auditor's Office provides customer service that is truly second to none. They make sure everyone gets the help they need. If they aren't able to help someone, they find the department that can. They go the extra mile every day. Their work helps set the tone for the entire city government and the excellent customer service for all our city staff provide. Along with utility billing for 35,000 customers, the Auditor's Office handles a laundry list of government functions, from pet licenses to liquor licenses, from business and occupational licenses, permits for charitable gambling, even permits for chickens. The list goes on. But they also are in charge of our city elections, and they keep track of all the city contacts and many other important records. The Auditor's Office manages all these duties with a lean team of staff members who are dedicated to serving our community. We will now share a video that spotlights the work of the Fargo City Auditor's Office.
The Auditor's Office is the public-facing department in the city. We take payments for utility bills, parking tickets, dog and cat licenses, chicken licenses. We license contractors, a lot of different things like that. But I'd say the primary interaction that people have is with the utility billing.
Paying utility bills, there's lots of different options you can do. You can pay with cash, money order, credit card, check. You can go online and pay or come into the office. You can mail in payments. There is auto pay available too.
A lot of the position as the city auditor is about relationships, and it's whether it's with our financial institutions or businesses, our liquor licenses. So to keep all that straight and to stay with, in contact with the businesses, and then relationships with customers. So working with the customers that are having troubles making their payments and that type of thing, providing them guidance on where they can go get some assistance. I think the worst thing is, when we get a call and the first thing that the customer says is, "This is the fourth time I've been transferred." I try to assure them that it'll be the last time you're transferred until we know that we get you to the right place. Election day is, run by the county now. We've got an agreement with the county that they'll do that. But it's our responsibility to have all city measures and any candidates that are properly filled out their paperwork put together and get that over to the county so that they can print their ballots and then conduct the actual election. There are occasions when we will have a special election and the city office here will have to conduct the election ourselves.
So obviously working in this department, we deal with a lot of water issues, and it feels good when you're able to help someone understand, because a lot of people that come in or call are either, they're just not understanding their bill. They want to know how to read it. And so when you're able to explain that to them, they really appreciate it when you take the time to explain that to them.
You know, I had experience in municipal government before, and I had now, you know, we had moved down to Fargo, and I was working for somebody that was quite a wealthy individual, and I found that just to be so unfulfilling. And I remember it was October of 1999, and I told my wife, I'm gonna get back into city government where I can fill my soul. And that Sunday, there was a block ad in the paper, and it was for a city auditor, and it was just a checklist for me. I had done all of the things on there, and so they gave me a chance, and I'm just so thankful to have the chance to work for the city. It's been a great place to work and great people that work for the city, so I think that's why I've stayed so long. Way too long.
Great video. Tonight, we will present the Fargo Rising Star Award to a recipient chosen by the leadership at the Auditor's Office. The award is going to Angie Bear. Angie has served the city of Fargo for 7 years. She was first hired as a utility billing supervisor and then was later promoted to deputy city auditor, a position she has now held for 3 years. Angie is an expert on Fargo City's utility billing system, and she provides guidance and training to our customer service reps. As we install the new digital water meters across Fargo, Angie is a point person for this project in the auditor's office. She also assists with liquor licensing, business licensing, gaming, sewer repairs, special assessments, and a variety of other items. She has superior customer service skills and demonstrates extraordinary patience with questions from customers and employees alike. Congratulations, Angie. Your commitment to public service makes you our Fargo Rising Star. We'll go on to the rest of the meeting. Okay. Is there a motion to approve the order of agenda continuing items 47 and 48 on the regular agenda to 5:05 on Monday, July 21st, 2025? And we're going to move item 10 from the consent agenda to the regular agenda. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Roll call. Oh, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carried. Is there a motion to approve the minutes of the June 23rd, 25 regular meeting?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carried. And so is there a motion to approve items on the consent agenda, items 1 through 45, taking out item 10?
I so move.
Is there a second?
Second.
Roll call vote, please.
Pepcorn,
Aye.
Turnberg,
Aye.
Kolpak,
Aye.
Strand,
Yes.
Mahoney,
Aye. Public hearing 46, Prairie Crossing Addition, approval recommended by Planning Commission 6325, zoning change from a single dwelling residential to public and institutional with conditional overlay. First reading of the rezoning ordinance, and Donald Crest to explain.
Good evening, Commissioners. Donald Kress with the Department of Planning and Development. Our one item tonight here includes an ordinance prepared by the City Attorney's Office. Our location here tonight for the subject property at Prairie Crossing Addition is the corner here of 25th Street South and 40th Avenue South. It has been a few things in the last few years. It was a church for a number of years. Then it was more recently a private school. The building is currently vacant. The site, there's a couple site photos. These were taken earlier this summer. Obviously not a rainy day here, showing the building there from 25th Street, and then facing across on 25th Street, there are these community gardens here as well. And then these were taken on a rainy morning here this morning, again, just looking at this property, which is a rather large property along 25th Street and 40th Avenue South. The current zoning, as the mayor has stated, is SR2, single dwelling residential. The proposed zoning is PI, public and institutional, with a conditional overlay. The use to be developed on this property is the Memory Cafe, which provides education programs and support to individuals and families with Alzheimer's disease or related dementia. Planning staff has determined that this is a community service use. Community service uses are allowed in the SR2 zone with a conditional use permit, but as the Memory Cafe is acquiring this entire property and those community gardens are also there, which is a separate operation, staff recommended that the entire property should be rezoned to PI, public institutional, and then there's a conditional overlay included in your packet there that limits uses that would not be consistent with the neighborhood there. So that's the point of the conditional use, or the conditional overlay. The addition of a conditional overlay will limit future land uses and protect the integrity of the surrounding residential neighborhoods. So just a zone change here, no subdivision plat. The applicant's representative, Maggie Ness, Executive Director of the Memory Cafe of the Red River Valley, is with us this evening. You may wish to address the commission. The Planning Commission's recommendation is stated in your staff report and shown on the screen. This concludes staff's presentation. Thank you, Commissioners.
Is there anyone present who wishes to speak in regards to this change? Anybody present wishing to speak? If not, we'll close the public hearing. Do I have a motion?
I'll make the motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
So Steve, what's the intent? What are they going to do? Or Don, what's the intent? What are they going to do with it?
The Memory Cafe is going to develop their facility there. The Executive Director could give you more details, sir. They're currently in downtown Fargo, and I think they're looking for a new space.
Oh, it's fantastic. They do fantastic work. That'll be a great place for them. Thank you.
Yes.
Roll call vote, please.
Pepcorn?
Aye.
Kolpak?
Aye.
Strand?
Yes.
Turnberg?
Aye.
Mahoney?
Aye.
Thank you, Commissioners.
So 47 and 48 have been moved to continuance and, is there a motion to move them to continuance, item 47 and 48?
I so move.
Is there a second? Second. Roll call vote.
Pepcorn?
Aye.
Strand?
Yes.
Kolpak?
Aye.
Turnberg?
Aye.
Mahoney?
Aye. Item 49. Nicole Gutchfield is going to talk to us about Community Development Block Grant and Home Investment Partnership Programs, a HUD consolidated program from 2025 to 2029, and includes our action plan and budget items of 23 and 24 action plans. Nicole,
good-
you're on.
All right, thank you. Good evening, Mayor and Commissioners. Tonight, I am excited to be in front of you tonight to, every 5 years, we need to, as a recipient of HUD dollars, Housing and Urban Development dollars, for the CDBG, Community Development Block Grant dollars, and the Home Fund, we have to do a 5-year strategic plan. And also with that 5-year strategic plan, we will have the 2025 action plan. Our program years are mid-year. They run July 1st is the start of our, I should say, May 1st is the start of our new program year. And then in 2 weeks, I'll be also in front of you as we do our end of year report, the CAPER. And so basically, we need to have a public process to relay to the public, and as part of the fact-finding mission to allocate funding for our HUD dollars, as well as report that to the federal government. So right now, the Community Development Block Grant dollars can be thought of as funding to help go towards either more construction-related dollars, and then the home investment dollars are really for specific housing activities. We did a long, I would say over the last year, we've been really analyzing our last 5 years of work, the types of programs that we funded in the years, and did some public outreach. Coincidentally, over the last 5 years, we've done our core neighborhoods plan, the growth plan, as well as the MetroCog regional housing study, and those all entered into our processes here. These shouldn't be any surprise to you, but we determined our top priorities for the next 5 years to be affordable housing, specifically housing stability and housing preservation, ending and preventing homelessness, specifically outreach activities to help the continuum of care. The public infrastructure and public facilities, we're really excited about taking these funds and working with our own engineering department as part of our core neighborhoods. More about that later. And then fair housing, which is a requirement to have as part of our allocation, but our partnership with High Plains Fair Housing continues, and we're glad to say it's going to continue for the next 5 years as well. So in a nutshell, as I mentioned, this is also our 2025 allocations. And so over the next 5 years, we'll be working on various aspects of this, but specifically for 2025, we're looking to kick off that an alley paving project program with our engineering department, and then that's the public infrastructure improvements, and then with our public service homeless outreach, continuing the downtown outreach that we've been working on with the public health team, and the downtown, as well as working with a nonprofit to help administer a new tenant-based rental assistance program. Now you'll see those dollar amounts, the 1.4 and the 1.6, those are higher allocations than we normally get, and that is because as part of this public hearing, we're reprogramming some of our 2023 and 2024 dollars. So a little bit about the public process. So here we are, July 7th at our public hearing. We did have an open house, our public meeting, on June 10th. And then, we are in our 30-day public process. In 2 weeks, we would have the final accumulation, if you will, of those public comments and ask you to consider adopting this plan on your next agenda. We would then submit that to HUD, assuming all of that gets approved. We would start having dollars available as early 2026. As I mentioned, we had 2023 and 2024 projects that were not able to continue. This is a bit of a highlight of those. Basically, through additional risk assessment and risk analysis with some of our recipients, noticing regulation issues in terms of difficulty and some of the new federal rules. We've concluded these projects and are instead turning those funds into a tenant-based rental assistance program. So altogether, in front of you tonight is what we suspect will be the funding for the next 5 years. We have the 2025 allocation, which is a normal allocation, $874,000. That's all formula-based. We would have $617,000 to be reallocated. And then for home, our normal annual allocation at $457,000. And then our previous allocations, basically 1.1 million. And then over the next 5 years, assuming the same allocation formulas of the 874 and the 457, that's another total of 3.5 million. That would give us for CDBG and for home another 2.2 million. So some of you might have questions about the future federal bills moving forward and how that might allocate. And I would say we still have it's important to remember that even though we have an annual year of 2025, we work in a period of 5 years at a time. So we still have the last 3 years of projects still open that we're monitoring, and home ARP dollars that are still on the books. So there's probably between this funding amount as well as another $2 million allocated previously, there's still money that we're getting out into the community. So we're in the public hearing process right now. I'm here to answer any questions from our commissioners, and then also there may be members of the public here to speak.
Any commissioners have any questions? Mr. Pipcorn?
Yeah, Mr. Chair, so Nicole, my question is it possible that some of this funding could be eliminated? I guess that's because from what I've seen, we used to actually have a HUD in Fargo, and they're no longer here. And so that's a concern for me. Are you confident in that?
I am not confident that we would receive funding in 26 and moving forward. We are in close conversations with our HUD team, our Denver office, and nationally with our peers. And so, no, I am not confident that we will have funding.
Thank you. Is there anyone present who wishes to speak to this plan? Anyone present who wants to speak to their plans to block grants? If not, I'll close the public hearing. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? It's nice use of the funding. It's amazing where this money has gone up and down through the years. I know we've done a lot of neighborhood restoration. We've done a lot of low-income housing through the years. So it's just interesting to me how this changed. And to the comments made, it's when you're dependent on federal money, you never know where it's going to go and where the winds go in that regards. But we've had great programs throughout the years for this. So I'm glad that you reorganized so it can have meaningful impact in our community. So thank you, Nicole. Roll call vote, please.
Strand,
Yes.
Kolpak,
Aye.
Pepcorn,
Aye.
Turnberg,
Aye.
Mahoney,
Aye. 2026 budget request from Municipal Airport Authority. Paul Ackman, are you going to give this today? Okay. Paul is the chair of the Airport Authority. John Cosgriff is here as well. The Airport Authority is asked to give the commission what their budget is for 26, just to tell us how it's going. And we're looking at great progress. Looks like the garage is going to open in August, and your addition is really going well. I think we'll be excited to hear what you have to tell us today. So thank you for coming forward.
Thanks for having me. I'll just also mention that our CFO through Eid Bailey, Tana Asan, is here with
Okay.
us as well. And our airport director, Sean Doberstein, is here. And Rich Slagle from McGough Construction is here. And we are on time and on budget. So, thank you. Honorable
Somebody just
Mayor.
took your PowerPoint away.
Honorable Mayor, Commissioners, and community partners, good evening. My name, as the mayor mentioned, is Paula Ekman, and I'm currently serving as the Fargo Municipal Airport Authority Chair. I thank you for this opportunity, and most importantly, thank you for more than 5 decades of partnership since the authority was established in 1969. We're here tonight to respectfully request your continued support of the 2 mill levy that funds capital improvements at Hector International Airport. These funds are not used for day-to-day operations. They are used solely for and dedicated entirely to major infrastructure projects that keep our airport safe, efficient, and ready for future growth. And I just want to say thank you to all the people who have had an opportunity to visit with me so far. And I'm open for, at any time to meet to answer any additional questions. Now, this is kind of interesting, but when the current terminal opened in 1986, we were boarding approximately 180,000 passengers a year. In 2025, 2024, we boarded 546,000. And the airport has set 14 straight months of consecutive boarding. So you can see that this is needed as really an infrastructure project. And we've outgrown, and so we are grateful that we are in the midst of this really great terminal expansion. The growth really reflects our region's vitality and the importance of planning for the future. The 2 mill levy is instrumental in supporting these large-scale projects like the terminal expansion. It helps us meet our local funding requirements, bridge grant timelines, and avoid delays or costly borrowing. Without it, we risk access to millions in federal and state dollars. Now, beyond transportation, the airport plays a major economic role. Last year alone, airport tenants generated approximately $780,000 in property taxes. not including the significant contributions made through local sales and fuel taxes as well. And this is not just about the airport, it's about our shared vision for a stronger Fargo. Together, we have built a facility that connects our people, supports local businesses, and strengthens our economy. Great airports build great cities. The airport has submitted a PowerPoint. Can we go through it? Oh, here we go. So I thank Tana for putting this together for us. Why is the mill levy important? Of course, just like I said, funding capital projects. And we rely on it to help get state and federal funds in match situations. And it's used for current and future capital projects. And of course, federal funding is never guaranteed. Grants are not guaranteed. So the reserve funds really help bridge that time and fund projects. All the engineering and architecture costs and testing are paid for well before a grant is ever issued with airport cash and reserves. So it's really important that we have this funding. The tenants that lease property from the airport, just like I said, paid approximately $780,000 in property taxes, and airport concessionaires also. So, next slide. This is what I was referring to in a nutshell. Our employments are growing every year. It's really impressive. Not all airports experience this kind of growth. It reflects just the vibrancy of our community. Next slide. Our historical data, just going back through 2020 for the last 5 years, had we not had the mill levy, we would have been $8 million. We would have like $8 million less, which would have increased the current net income loss. And the mill levy is a valuable source of funding for past and future projects. Next slide. This is the impact of losing the mill levy. This spells it out pretty clearly. We would not be able to do the projects that we're doing today had we not had the mill levy money in reserve. Interest expense also, it saves the taxpayers dollars to have an airport that we're not paying interest expenses on. So we're very fortunate. Thank you. The impact of reducing or losing the mill levy over the next 10 years. If the mill levy is reduced by half or removed, it would put significant stress on the airport's future projects, as we would lose approximately 15.8 to 31.5 million during the next 10 years. This is also taking into account the estimated reduced value of a mill due to North Dakota's new property tax of 3%. 27 million to 30 million is the estimated debt the airport needs to secure in 2027 prior to any mill levy reduction or removal. And we'll talk in the next slide, I believe, about some of our projects. Next slide. Oh, sources of funds. When the reserve funds will be spent. Currently, we're carrying a reserve balance. This was done by design and very prudent planning on behalf of the airport. The reserves will be used for the terminal projects. So we went into this terminal project with a substantial amount of money so that we did not have to borrow all of it. We had, 50 plus million. So, and we're very grateful that we were able to come in such a place of financial strength into this project. Right now, we're anticipating 27 million in additional debt for the continued project funding. We have a bridge loan, revenue bonds, and total cost would be 42.7, dependent on grant funding. We will need to continually build up reserves in order to have airport matching funds on other major items on the CIP in the next 10 years, and a portion of the net income from operating account will be used and transferred to capital savings to assist with our capital projects. Next slide. And I'm going to ask Tana to come up here. Again, our CFO. She's been with the airport for about 2 years, and she's just doing a great job.
So,
She'll do a better job explaining this one.
so what you're looking at right now, we actually have 3 terminal projects going on. We have the terminal expansion, we have the apron glycol, and then we have the apron reconstruction. So right now we're focusing on the terminal expansion. But with all 3 projects put together, this is what it shows, where our cash is needed, what we have received in federal and state allocations. And it goes back to what Paula said about the airport being prudent with their money, because we had these savings and we heard for many years that, well, the airport has all this money in savings. And this is why. Because the terminal project is $161,000 for those, or $161 million for those 3 projects. And we got some federal funding, we received some state funding. However, with the state, there was a generational project grant that we were in with Grand Forks and Dickinson, and we requested $60 million. We only got $45 million of that. So it was $15 million less than what we had hoped for. Thankfully, that's where we were able to fall back onto our reserves. But to keep in mind, with every federal and state funding grant we get, there is always a local share. The state and the federal cover portions of it, and then they fall back to the local community and to the airport and say, now what is your contribution? So our contribution to these 3 terminal projects at this point, even though the projects are not complete, we still have about $20 million of grants pending that we always go into it assuming we're not going to get everything and hoping we get everything. So even if we do get 50% of those grants, it is going to cost us our savings of $50 million, which is great. We're not asking to borrow money. There's no bonding. There's no bridge loans, but that takes us through these projects. Then the airport, now that we have these terminals, now we start to look at aprons and taxiways and runways. And that's why if you go to the next slide, you'll see these are the 3 terminal projects, the $161,000 that I mentioned. If you go to the next slide, there you will see that in 2027, we're gonna need $30 million. In 2028 to 2030, that's when our runways are going to have to be redone. And so there is always going to be a need to improve infrastructure at the airport.
But just a question on that. It always seems that federal funding, as far as we're talking to Sean, oftentimes federal funding is 90%. You're saying 50%, but oftentimes it comes at 90%. So when you look at the 32 and the 35 million, if the feds come in at 90%, that's helpful. 2 is the legislative body said 45 million this time, but it seems that in 2 years they'll probably give the additional 15 million. So could you model us sometime some of those things? And I know talking to Senator Hoven, he anticipates getting more federal money for you. So I recognize what you're putting up here, but I also recognize Sean has done a great job in getting federal funding. Paul and I talked about that, where oftentimes that is funded differently than we get even the city funding, where we're 50-50 oftentimes, but that the federal funding seems to be more like 90% funded. So am I misunderstanding how you're getting, where the federal funds fit in?
No, you are not, Mayor. We are saying that we have $20 million pending in grants. If we are awarded those grants, they're competitive and discretionary grants at this point. So the FAA can come back and say, you're getting nothing. They can come back and say, you're getting 5 million, 10 million. And once we are awarded a grant, then it is 95% federal funded, usually 5% state and local funded. So those are the big numbers out there of the grants we've applied for. We may not get that full 20 million. If we get 10, then they may come back and say, now it's 95% federal, 10. And so you're not wrong in saying that, but these grants have not been even approved yet. We could come back and get nothing of that 20 million as well. And then that would be an additional 20 million that we would have to be looking for.
And the other part of that is that the match is really important. So if it doesn't look like we've got our local support, it's tougher to get that state and federal funding.
And then what's your reserve fund right today? How much money is in quote in your reserve fund?
Oh, offhand, I would say it's probably right around the 30 million, but that will be depleted
Yep.
by the time the terminal projects are completed.
Thank you.
So we just
And-
want you to know, sorry,
Yeah.
that, we are thankful for the funding that we receive from the properties taxes, because as Paula stated, it does go to show the state and the federal, as we're applying for these grants, that we do have the local support. And so we do appreciate it. We do hope that it continues, because as you can see, the terminal is growing at record pace, and we want to be able to grow with it.
Do you have any questions for us?
I think the commissioners one time wanted to just see, you must have a budget you put out for the airport over a 12-month period, what you anticipate. So 2024, you anticipate, I don't know how much money you spend on a yearly basis, but how much do you spend, and then how much do you come in with revenue, and what's projected revenue loss at the end of the year in 2025?
Well, our operating budget for 2026 is not yet complete. We hope to have that finalized at the August board meeting. But the operating budget is completely separate from our capital budget. So what funds our capital budget and funds the capital projects at the airport is the property taxes and the state and local grants that we receive. And there's no other funding that goes into those capital projects.
But when your operating costs, what are you going to come out next year for revenue
What we're estimating at this point,
on 25?
yes. We're estimating between 3 and 5 million. However, that scenario that was up there about the 27 million being needed in 2027, that's assuming we're taking 100% of those extra funds left from the operating fund and putting that into the capital fund, and doing the same for 2026 as well. So that's
Thank you.
already been figured into the 27 million.
Mr. Turnberg.
Yes, thank you for your information tonight. I absolutely love being able to fly into Fargo and be home in 10 to 15 minutes. It's amazing to come back after a vacation or work or whatnot. But when I lived in West Fargo, I was also able to do that, and the same with Moorhead. So my question to you is, why is Fargo the only municipality that is providing local support? When my very first day as a commissioner, I was at the groundbreaking for the new terminal, and which is absolutely beautiful, for the parking ramp, alongside mayors and council members from Moorhead, from West Fargo, from Horace, who also spoke, but they don't have any skin in the game that I'm aware of. Do they contribute anything, even though all the residents in the metro benefit from our airport?
They do not.
They do not. And what I can tell you from the little knowledge I have is that because Fargo is a municipal airport, we come to the city to ask the Fargo taxpayers to allow us to use their money. If I'm not familiar with every airport in the state, but if you look at Grand Forks is a regional airport, so they go to the county to ask for their 2 mills. And it comes from all of the towns in that county. All of those taxes are in that fund. So other airports do get that support, but I believe it's because one is classified as municipal, one is regional. There are different state statutes for that.
So how can we change that?
And the governor's committee, just Commissioner Paula would talk to it, but Rick Berg is trying to look at regional talked about the concept of regional, what you're bringing up here tonight. So I think in your governance committee, you're looking at a format that you might do that. Is that correct, Paula?
We're having the conversation, and I would say in 1969, the population base and where people were living was far different than it is today. So does it make sense to look at how our community has grown and if there's a potential for other funding? Because we certainly know that the airport doesn't just serve Fargo residents. It is a regional airport. So I know that we're beginning the conversation.
Then we're on the right path.
Yeah.
Any other questions, Mr. Strand?
Thank you. You know, this regional concept is an interesting conversation, but I'll remind us, Fargo owns the airport. It's Fargo's. It's not other cities, it's not, but so that's something in the background. If ever this airport closed, it's Fargo's airport. You know, so we're on the hook, just like Fargo loaned, backed up the loans for the parking ramp. You know, with the state funding, we're guaranteeing it. So our skin in the game is somewhat different in different ways. Here's my biggest question, and I'll preface it. Geez, it's really exciting to see what's going on in our airport. And it's exciting to see this impact on the region that's going to continue on into the future with this legacy project that's so gargantuan, but valuable to everybody. We've had discussions for years about people up here wanted a parking ramp. Your revenues were pretty much dependent on parking revenues. That was 8 million, if I remember right, per year revenues.
Correct.
From the parking spots, you know, so that was what the airport lived on, was parking revenues. And then there was this notion, well, we don't want to give up those revenues. We don't want to dig ourselves into a hole and build a project that diminishes the cash net revenues. But my question is this, and the airport's been contributing 2 mils routinely as a support for the airport, but I would like to know at what point does it become self-sufficient, that airport parking ramp revenue? It's not open till this fall. There's 1,000 parking spaces there coming, and I just would like to see the cash flow of that revenue on top of the current model to see if maybe down the road we can say, hey, our public investment really paid off because your needs are less because of these growing revenues. That's what I'd like to see.
Well, first of all, I'd like to say we got a 2% loan from the Bank of North Dakota, 30-year loan to fund that parking garage. We have lost $800,000 this year in parking revenue just due to the more cumbersome nature of parking with all the construction. So hopefully that will be change as the parking garage opens. The airport will probably never be able to be self-sufficient because when you have a project like the apron reconstruction, which was originally poured in 1986 and needs to be replaced, it's $20 million. That's the airport lighting, the glycol disposal. Like there's so many big projects that the airport will always have, even in extending the runways, that just will be, parking revenue will never cover it. Now, the models that I think Ide Bailey did for us with that parking garage is that we anticipate pretty conservatively that there's a very good chance it could be paid off in 10 years. So that will be amazing for the airport.
And I do have what you were looking for with a breakdown of it year by year with just the parking revenue based on our parking expenses and paying the Bank of North Dakota back. So I can provide that to you.
Could you provide that to all the commissioners, please?
Sure,
Thank you.
sure.
And Mayor, I don't anticipate we'll decide tonight the fate of your 2 mills, but we're really beginning this communication process, which is essential going forward. So this going back and working together is really, really key. But again, this is the Fargo's airport.
Mm-hmm.
We are partners in this. A year ago, Commissioner Turnberg wasn't at the table yet. Or were you when we had our budget last year? You were, you're brand new. And that
Day
was
one.
a really contested topic, was to what degree the city's contribution would be. My view then was, we really arm twisted the airport to get going and go forward with a parking ramp. We wanted that sincerely. So I'd hate to have, a year ago especially, think about pulling back the city's support when we got you to do it. But my expectation is that the partnership will always continue, and it'll be based on cash flow.
And Commissioner Strand, if I could mention that, like I said, we have an operating fund and a capital fund, and the parking revenue is the day-to-day operations of the airport. So all the parking revenue and all the parking costs take place in the operating fund. And if there's any additional funds left over at the end of the year, because we try to have our operating account be break even, so any additional funds, we do basically slot for capital projects. And that's why I've said we've built that into that plan. But the parking is classified as the operations, and the only funding for the capital projects at this point are federal, state grants, and the property taxes.
Thank you for the report. Appreciate it. We'll digest it and figure out what we want to do. Did you have something else, Paula?
I'd like to close with a bit of good news. We are going to start getting a daily Atlanta nonstop on Delta. So we have nowhere to go but up with boardings and revenues, and it's just an exciting time to be working with the airport. So thank you for the opportunity, and thank you for your
Thank you for
partnership.
that
And
announcement.
Paula, while you're there, would you just tell us who the other board members are at
Yes,
the Airport Authority, please?
we have John Cosgriff in attendance tonight, myself, and then it's Jim Capitan, Dr. Jean Brashani, and Rick Berg.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for your time and your continued partnership.
We have recommendation for appointment on the Renaissance Zone Authority. Do you have my recommendation? Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Roll call vote, please.
Excuse me, Mayor, bear with me. I have a question. I know the county advances a recommendation for this appointment, but help me remember, are we on different pages with the county, with how much support we are, how much we're going with Renaissance Zone tax breaks? Because the state has allowed up to 8. We're supporting 8, but Commissioner Grinberg in the county, I think, is supporting 5. If I recall, or am I not right about that? Yes. So we would be appointing him to go down a path which would not be in sync with our desires.
So the Renaissance Zone, it can either 5 years or 8 years, and the county has to approve it, but the appointment it's different, John. We can have a discussion on that. I think Commissioner Pepcorn, we had talked to him about the Renaissance Zone change, and Jim Gilmore has also explained that to them. But the county is in a different mood as far as what to do with that, John. So we usually appoint whoever the county presents to us.
Even though we're on different pages.
Yes. Well, there's several commissioners that are on different pages because it's 3-2 vote on that commission as well. Any follow-up, Commissioner Strand? No. Okay. You have my recommendation. Did I have a motion, Laura? Motion. Okay. Roll call vote, please.
Kolpak.
Aye.
Pepcorn.
Aye.
Strand.
No.
Turnberg.
Aye.
Mahoney.
Aye. Application for property tax exemptions made to buildings. I have a motion.
I so move.
Is there a second?
Second.
Roll call vote, please.
Pepcorn.
Aye.
Turnberg.
Aye.
Kolpak.
Aye.
Strand.
Yes.
Mahoney.
Aye. Item 10, I'm going to move to this point before the liaison reports. And it was a denial request for Folkways to close portion of Broadway for upcoming events. Tom Knockbus has at least has something ready for us to talk about it, or Brenda Derrick, one of the two. And Joe Burgum has if you want to come up to the podium, Joe, as well. Am I right, Tom? You have something or a discussion? Brenda has it, I guess.
Well, I'm going to start it, and then
Okay.
Tom and Nicole are going to help out a little bit.
Okay.
And so in front of you on this item, there was a request to close Broadway for 2 Thursdays and a Sunday in conjunction with some of the events that Folkways has downtown. And so through the Downtown in Focus, part of that was trying to move closures off Broadway. And so as staff reviewed the requests, we have been making recommendations to try and keep Broadway open and not impact those businesses along Broadway. And so on the consent agenda, what you'll see, and Tom and Nicole can probably elaborate a little bit more, is the recommendation to not allow those Broadway closures. And so, but we'd like to get in front of you to talk about maybe a different outcome there. So I don't know, Tom or Nicole, if you have anything.
Yeah, the only thing I would add is, again, Joe with Folkways was working with staff. Again, our guidance is the Downtown in Focus plan. And so staff working through that plan and the guidance from that plan had denied the request to close Broadway on those 3 occasions. Joe had asked the city to reconsider, and so we brought it to PUPEC for discussion. After pretty considerable discussion at PUPEC, PUPEC did vote to support staff denial, and then ultimately it comes to City Commission. And again, I think Joe would like to have the opportunity to speak to it.
Okay, Joe, you're up. Or Nicole, you want something too?
I was just going to mention the basis of the Downtown in Focus plan review is due to public input and that engagement and outreach. So we're not confident. One of the reasons of staff not support right now is we're not confident that the downtown business community and the downtown neighbors are in support of frequent closures of Broadway. And in fact, staff had just started meeting kind of post-marathon internally on how to update our street closure process so that there is good, effective communication and needs, as well as staff cost time when we're closing streets and the operations with police, fire, et cetera, when it comes to street closures and safety. So, so we just started those meetings maybe about 3 weeks ago to figure out a different process.
Just so the commissioners are aware, we've got some complaints around the marathon, and there's some neighbors that now are a little bit more upset about some of these events.
Well, even if you
And-
add in street closures
Yeah.
from construction, things like that, you can look at like Facebook traffic and other social media traffic about some of those negative feedbacks.
Go ahead, Joe, you're up. All right, sorry, Commissioner Turnberg, you have something?
Is so the day of the time capsule opening, there was also was it a Renaissance fair on the street? Does the city like it when the side streets
That was
going
on the
east,
side street, but
west?
it didn't close Broadway.
Right.
That was.
Is that acceptable, or is that
Yeah,
not?
so what the In Focus, maybe in summary, what the In Focus plan suggests, instead of Broadway being closed, the Second Avenue being closed.
Yeah, we were part of that, yeah.
Greetings, Mayor and Commissioners. Great to be with you tonight. My name is Joe Burgum. I'm the Executive Director of Folkways. We're a local community nonprofit whose mission is to create experiences to connect community and fight isolation and loneliness. We do that through a series of large-scale community events, including the Red River Farmers Market, the Christmas Market at the Civic Center, and the monthly Night Bazaar. In addition to our mission of building community, we are striving to bring vibrancy and foot traffic to downtown Fargo. Our events combined bring over 100,000 people to downtown Fargo. We work with 120 small businesses. And if you get a chance this Saturday, we have opening day of the Red River Market, which is truly a magical time of year to see all the vendors and energy that we have downtown Fargo. We had reached out to the Downtown Task Force in February for an initial conversation around street closure, and at the end of April, we made a formal request to close Broadway. We're now standing in July, and I acknowledge that our request is non-standard and that current policies don't conform with our current request. Within the In Focus plan, they reserve closing Broadway for legacy events, yet legacy events are not defined within that. This is our 11th season of the Red River Farmers Market. We've closed Second Avenue hundreds and hundreds of times. I've worked closely with staff to do so, but completely acknowledge that as downtown's grown, as our events have grown, there's not been a good process for these types of requests. Now, the item number 10, which is in front of you, I'd like to amend. I think there are 3 dates on our request to close Broadway, and we'd like to limit that to just 1 request. And that's for Thursday, July 24th, the same day as TEDx Fargo. Our Night Bazaar is the official TEDx post party. And we're excited to try to break the world record for most s'mores being eaten at a single moment in time. So we're doing a Guinness World Record that day. And we're not looking to close Broadway for multiple blocks, and we're not looking to close any intersections on Broadway. So 2nd Avenue and Broadway would remain open towards the west. So northbound, southbound traffic up Broadway to the intersection of 2nd Avenue would remain open, and you could travel westbound to the parking ramp. And then to the north, 3rd Avenue intersection would remain open. So it'd be closing a 1-block stretch right in front of the Jasper Hotel and Daly's Market, no intersections being closed. And that's for our anticipated event where we hope to see 5,000 people. We drive tremendous impact to downtown Fargo, foot traffic for small businesses. And I will say, I know it's challenging sometimes in your position because so much of it is complaint-based. We close 2nd Avenue every Saturday all summer long. We do countless events in downtown Fargo. I don't think you've heard from people about our events. I hope that counts for something in terms of the positive traffic that we're driving. I know that staff's working on improving street closure permits, bollards, the new police barricades. We work closely with the DCP in the bid and know there's a lot of work and things take time on that. But I would hope that you'd entertain our request to close Broadway and no intersections for July 24th for our night bazaar.
Thank you, Joe. Any questions, Joe Burgum, by commissioners? No? So your request is for July?
I believe it's Thursday, July 24th. We're the official post party for TEDx, and we're excited to ensure that TEDx still has something downtown to go on that day.
What is the pleasure of the commission? What would you like to do? Commissioner Strand.
Thank you. You know, Joe, we all love what you do. You have a great impact in our community. This topic has been vetted at our downtown workforce for months. And we've just wrestled with it backwards and forwards and over, and you've met with us and you've talked it over and you've watched us all continue the path of we're sticking to our guns with policy right now. And I'm not sure if we want to change the policies or not. But it's been a really difficult road to hoe. Deciding who gets and when and how and where's it start and where's it stop. And the definition of legacy, yes, is a question, but I'm just going to stand with the group's decision at this point, PUPEC and our group decision. We've had 20 people almost working on this, and I'm going to honor what they've done or stated.
Is that the start of a motion?
That their motion would be to not allow this. Let's see what the others say first, Mayor.
Okay.
Yep. Thank you, Chair. So I appreciate the request here and the work of the committee and the workforce. The context, Commissioner Strand was very helpful about the struggle here. We have taken a firmer stand on policy lately as we get through the LDC and other updates to our growth plan. I would request that we take a good look at what is definition of legacy as part of that, as a takeaway from this conversation, and also how robustly we are capturing community input, especially from the downtowners for future decisions like this, so that we have an ongoing mechanism. And I know we have some tools actually that would help us do that. So those are my comments.
Commissioner Turnberg.
Commissioner Strand, you've been working with this issue for quite some time. So my concern would be business owners and their feelings because it's affecting them. But I do love what you do, Joe, and so much of it is so much fun, and I look forward to Saturday very much. Would there be any compromise, like use of the civic or the green space between the library and City Hall offered you?
Yeah, no, I appreciate the ideas on that. We love seeing the cultural corridor, the 2nd Avenue corridor, which has received the investment with the bollards as an event space. Our event is contiguous around Broadway Square, and we're trying to have that schmore moment right in the lawn there. I will say last year we did flyer businesses when we made the same request, and it was not entertained in a timely manner. And so I do wonder from a process standpoint, just like an alley paving where you need a certain percentage of businesses to sign off, instead of being complaint-based or consent-based, in terms of receiving business support. I can't speak to this year, but in years past, we send out our own Good Neighbor letter where we're doing the groundwork and we're speaking to businesses directly, and have not received any opposition to our closures. People really appreciate the foot traffic our events drive and the energy that they bring. And totally understand if this was like a weekly request, it's a very different piece, or if we're affecting intersection closures and street traffic, et cetera. I think for this one-time event, we'd like to test it and see, and I think be able to have that conversation of what the process looks like moving forward as a group that has a reputation of producing quality events.
Commissioner Pipcorn. Do I have a motion? Item 10. Item 10 did recommend that we deny any closure of Broadway.
I advance the recommended motion.
Is there a second?
I'll second, for the reasons stated.
No, ESPN came here a few years ago and we had a wonderful event down on Broadway. And as I remember it was loud and crazy and a lot of people had a wonderful time. It really went very well. So it's always hard when we get into these. And I think the difficulty we have is to the point Joe just made. Do the businesses want it or not want it? And some people are saying that why I lose business when this happens, or I don't lose business, or something else happens. I think the Renaissance thing the other night was wonderful. We had a good attendance. A lot of people enjoyed it. So I do understand the staff when we wrestle this down, a legacy. What's a legacy event, Is it a marshmallow Guinness record, or is it something else, that we want to do? But even if the marathon, we've had great support for that over the years. Now people are questioning part of that and how much we do for it and how we get involved with that. So it is time as the city kind of ponders, where does our role, what we do. So I think this is one of those times in which we're back to, let's make sure that the business owners are happy, make sure that it does the things we want, Joe. So any other discussion? Roll call vote, please.
Strand,
Yes.
Kolpak,
Aye.
Pepcorn,
Aye.
Turnberg,
Aye.
Mahoney.
Aye. We are now to liaison commissioner updates. Commissioner Pipcorn. Commissioner Turnberg.
We did have a lot of fun at the time capsule opening for the library, so that was really interesting. There's always lots going on at our public libraries, so please check it out. I have a lot on my Facebook page and try to update that as often as I can.
Now, are you trying to have another time capsule? Do I hear the library is working maybe to have a time capsule in 26?
Put Commissioner Pepcorn's old knee in there.
Commissioner Kolpak.
First of all, happy birthday, Commissioner Turnberg. And I have two slides as updates, both utility. So on water utility, water treatment plants successfully met all EPA required water quality standards again in calendar year 24. And you can learn more about it at the annual water quality report. The URL is listed there. And the plant regularly tests our water for iron, lead, copper, manganese, dissolved solids, as well as pH and hardness levels. I will say we've met with a number of constituents over the years who have had concerns about some of these elements and chemicals, and we do an incredible job explaining our processes. It's still some of the best tasting in the United States. And then the next slide, I hope you all saw the front page of the water reclamation story. It was featured on the front page of the forum last week. Utility Director Jim Hassauer gave a reporter a tour of the facility that's undergoing and has been undergoing a major expansion for a number of years, and it works to enhance the state-of-the-art facility and increase its capacity. The facility serves customers in Fargo, West Fargo, Horace, and other surrounding communities. It also provides treated water to industrial users, creating a revenue stream for the city of Fargo. Thank you to all of the work for your long-term strategic capital planning to make this possible, and your work every day.
Great idea. You sell your water and make money off it. Don Strand.
No report, Mayor.
We have 4 commenters tonight. They're all in person. Sarah Borreg Gina Artner is first. Sarah. Joseph Garcia. You come to this podium, Joseph. 2 minutes and 30 seconds. Timer starts when you start.
Okay, my name is Joseph Garcia, local downtown business owner. Thank you for the opportunity to speak today. I am calling to request a formal inquiry onto 3 different incidents. I was the victim of a DUI, felony hit and run, in my place of business. I turned over evidence displaying this incident occur, where the individuals hit my vehicle and then pulled over in front of a camera, conversed on what to do, and conspired to cover up the crime by switching seats and driving off. I gave this information and video proof to the Fargo Police Department, and they came to the conclusion, since they couldn't read the license plate, there wasn't adequate evidence to pursue charges, denying me the ability to gain access to other facilities with their video equipment to hold these individuals responsible. The second incident I refer to are to an assault that occurred by my former business partner, and this would be incident number 2024-0019841. That would be a false police report stating false information to the officer that responded to the call by lying to trespass me from my property and stopping me from collecting my property, as well as my financial information and my employees' information and my business documents. Now, the assault is case number 24-48160. This displays him assaulting me while I was recovering paralysis in our office, where he threw me against the chair and continued to berate me and assault me in the office. I presented this evidence to the police department, and they concluded that there was not enough evidence to get a without a doubt conviction. I asked that you look into these situations and give me an explanation, as I requested an audience with the mayor's office and was denied that. I requested an audience with the prosecution and was denied that. I requested an audience with the investigating detectives and was denied that. The hit and run incident is 24-42406. I believe in this community, justice is given to a certain demographic while denied to another. I believe I fall under that latter. I request that an audience to give me an explanation to how these incidents do not meet the requirements.
Joseph, we can talk to you later, but you get 2.5 minutes. That's what happens on the speaking.
I'm Ryan, I'm Shane's brother, and I figured my life and safety ain't worth 2 minutes, so I ain't gonna really speak much on it, but sending a bunch of officers and ambush someone with PTSD ain't really the smartest thing to be doing, especially when they haven't done nothing wrong. And tomorrow, around this time, is when you guys told me you killed my brother. So we are going to his funeral, or his ceremony, again this year. And it's the 3rd one, and I figured I'm the 3rd oldest. So I better step it up, I guess, and do some stuff, because sitting around is just getting me harassed and intimidated by you and your officers. And I'm still demanding justice for my brother, because now my rights are being violated, and his for being killed. Thanks.
Christopher Cohn?
Yes, I'm Christopher Cohn, Fargo resident. And I'd like to continue my comment from June, when I came to talk about using our police resources and more efficiently, more sparingly. And what I was taught, oh, by the way, I did the numbers a few years ago to find out how much money we're spending on public safety. It turned out to be 44% of the budget, that is the discretionary budget for public safety, and 24% of that was for police resources. So I don't think we're not underfunding public safety by any means, but what is important is to know is police resources are very expensive, so we want to use them sparingly and use them smartly. And I've come to find out about this movement across the U.S. where cities are developing alternative response teams to respond to non-police sort of functions, and those would be, well, in Fargo we already have one, which is for animal control, which is the community officers that deal with animal control issues. So that's an example right there. But other issues would include perhaps fender benders, although that depends on insurance requirements through state law, mental health crises, and noise complaints and other quality of life issues, and also alarms. 99% of alarms are false. But last time I was here, I wanted to give some examples, and I ran out of time. But in Albuquerque, New Mexico, Olympia, Washington, and Rochester, New York, trained teams of social workers or others respond to a range of problems, including domestic violence, homelessness, substance abuse, and disputes between family members or neighbors. Denver has a team of non-police responders trained to investigate property crimes. New Orleans has hired a company whose agents, all of them retired or reserve police officers, respond to about 10,000 traffic incidents instead of the police in 2024. In Durham, North Carolina, mental health counselors have been embedded in the city's 911 call center to assist in diverting behavioral mental health calls away from the police to unarmed responders trained to address those crises. Thank you.
We're done with the public comment time. We are then adjourned. Thank you.